It's 10 a.m. on Thursday, June 4th, 2024. It's like 68 degrees. We had a bunch of rain this morning, which is why I'm out to the field late. And we gave them 3 posts last night. And you can see it's a good mix of dying or dead cool season grasses and the green summer grasses. So I was watching Ben at Grazing 365. I see a bunch of little tiny grasshoppers, little baby ones jumping around. But he did a time travel where he kind of travels into the future about what the pasture is going to look like in the future by going backwards through the grazing. So I figured I might as well do that. Kind of show you the difference between his style and my style. So this is about 3 days ago. They were here. So the grass is probably just now starting to grow. And they did not graze that much. I left lots of grass behind. The goal wasn't to, put a lot of pressure on the ground or anything like that. I just wanted to take the tips and leave a lot of the grass alone. You can see here, that's goatweed. That's goatweed that's growing here. There's just a little bit. I just see 4 or 5 plants here, just in like a 10-foot radius. Not terribly concerned about the goatweed. As I've talked about before, I welcome the weeds. They have a job to do, just like the grass. I'm not a monoculture guy by any stretch of the imagination. So this is about 3 days ago. This is a week ago, this next pasture. So this grass has been growing for about 3 days. Plenty of water and sunshine. Warm temperatures. Not a lot of differences there. It's kind of hard to tell what's going on at 1 week. The manure patties are they're just washing away, melting into the ground. There's an old manure patty. All right, let's go back another half week, so a week and a half ago. And I think a week and a half ago, I was still kind of trying for 80%, graze 80%, 1/3 of the way down and leave everything else alone. So this is a 75-foot row. And you can kind of tell where the row starts. There's like a little bump in the grass on each side because they didn't graze under the wire. And because I kept them away from the neighbor's pasture to avoid the bull jumping the fence, I have a comparison of what would have happened if I didn't do anything at all. Oh, he's moving the cows. You might want to watch that. We're giving them 2 posts because it's so late. And also because the rows are wider. They're about 100 feet wide instead of 75 feet wide. And that's what it looks like from a distance. So let's go over here where the cows were not grazing to see if there's a difference of leaving the ground alone versus grazing it 80% of the way. And you can see the grass is a little bit taller. The brown grass is still standing, but the Bermuda grass is really doing well. It's going to dominate. I think the spring grass is causing the Bermuda grass to really shoot for the sky. Put some vertical height on it. And later on it'll send out, I think they're called, not rhizomes, they're runners or something like that, stolons, to start new grass plants. That's how it propagates. So this is about 2 weeks ago. In this row, again, I was doing 75-foot rows, shooting for 80%, 1/3 of the way down. And this one I did go all the way to the fence. So, but I did rope it off because I realized that the bull might jump the fence, so they just got half a day grazing against the fence. And now we're at 2.5 weeks ago. And again, this was 80%, 1/3 of the way down. Somewhat aggressive spring grazing here. And you can see the summer grass has already bounced back. It's ready to go for another grazing if I wanted to, but I'll give it some more time. 2.5 weeks. It's here, and then I'll cross a line here. It'll be 3 weeks in the past. You can see this is about 3 weeks in the past. The summer grass is a little bit taller. I don't know what else to say here. And then 3.5 weeks, and then 4 weeks is probably right next to where the sheep are right now. So the sheep are about 4.5 weeks behind the cows. So these little areas, these little mud bowls, the dark patches, that's where I kept the water and the minerals, and so the cows trampled that. And I could like move the water every day, but that would involve dumping the water out and moving it, which I don't really see a point to that. It's only going to damage a small part of the field, and as long as I don't keep hitting that same spot again and again, it's going to recover eventually. So I'm not too concerned about it. So this is probably water, and it was a little bit constrained. I had a little lane to keep them out of the area next to where the bowl is. Anyway, so that's kind of the story here. That goes back a month. A month ago was the beginning of May. About mid-April is when the grass really started to explode here. So that's kind of the story there. Let's go take a look at the new area. Oh, sorry about the wind. I hope it's not causing a lot of problems. I'll try to cover up the mic as best I can. It's been, we haven't had much wind lately, aside from storms. So, in between the storms, we just have dead calm. It's heat too, which I think we're going to get a little heat today. It's probably not going to rain again until Monday. So we probably have a week of reprieve from the storms. But there's a good chance that it might get some rain in between now and Monday. So back to where they're at right now. In the distance, it looks really brown, but that's only because you're seeing the top. But when you look down, you can see that this is really thick grass with lots and lots of summer grasses mixed in with the old spring grass. So I have plenty to graze from here. There's really nothing that I can complain about in this area right here. So last year, the western third was really good, and this was the middle third, which wasn't that great, but it wasn't as bad as the eastern third. So that's the eastern third down there. So I'm really happy to see all the summer grass here. My goal is just not to overgraze. That's been my guiding rule for almost a year now. Just don't overgraze. And Ben had a good point at Grazing 365, where he says that the summer grass is more fibrous than the spring grass, and so you want to get that when it's more tender and easier to digest for the cows. I'm not following that advice, so you'll see what happens with my cows when they just graze on tall summer grass, mature summer grass, which I believe that the summer grass constantly grows. It even if it turns brown, it appears to me that it grows. So even in the drought, I'd come by, 6 weeks later, no rainfall in 6 weeks, and I'd see the summer grass had grown to several inches, even though it was brown. But so the summer grass, to me, I haven't really felt that I needed to graze it when it's young or tender. The thing about the summer grass is if you graze it lightly, but often, it doesn't seem to care, right? So like mowing your lawn, you want to mow your lawn 2 or 3 times a week to keep it at the ideal height. But if you're just taking the tip off, just the tiniest amount of grass off the tip, the grass responds really well to that. It grows thick and green. Same kind of thing here, where I'm just not inspired to graze it to the ground. In fact, I don't want to do that at all. I want to get thick, tall stands of this Bermuda grass and have the cows come through and just nibble at it. Just take the top off and move on and leave some manure and some urine behind, and then come back 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks later and do it again. That's kind of the strategy that I have, except in this case the second round will be the sheep, and then it'll be the cows again. So and it seems like the grass is recovering well enough for the sheep to graze as much as they want and not have an effect. The first northernmost part of my field, I didn't show it, but it just doesn't seem to have recovered very well. I'm going to give it some more time before I bring the cows back. So this is looking really good, and I can't wait to get the sheep in here. Hopefully the sheep will nibble on these weeds more than the grass. I see the sheep have just demolished the milkweed. The milkweed just disappears once the sheep go into a new row. They just love that milkweed stuff. And the current row that they're in, I didn't show this very well, but there's a bunch of really tiny, what is it called? The briars, the blackberries or raspberries or whatever they are, the blackberries. And the sheep also just go after that stuff. They just strip those plants bare. They have this radar where they look for any unusually tall pieces of brush in the pasture, and they swarm over there and they instantly strip it of all the leaves. So what the cows miss, the sheep will get, hopefully. There might be some things that the sheep and the cows don't like to get at after all. I'm just going to let that grow and see what happens. So that's kind of my strategy. Guys, have a great day. Take care, and bye-bye.